Hey everybody! Sorry I'm not in class today. I know you guys are terribly disappointed, but I didn't know that I was going to be gone. Had to run back up to St. Louis to see my doctors. No big deal. I'll be back tomorrow. Just had to run up and get some stuff done. So we're just going to run class today just like normal, just like I was in there. I knew you guys would be terribly disappointed. You'd miss seeing me and miss out on the lecture. So I went ahead and recorded it. So we're going to run class today just like I was there. Now, I'm going to go through the lecture just like normal. You'll need to take notes just like normal. But we'll go through this, we'll go through the PowerPoint, we'll take notes, and tomorrow we'll just pick up right where we left off. Today we'll be talking about the Articles of Confederation. Tomorrow we're going to be doing the Constitution, okay? But since this is like a normal class, no day would be complete without starting out with the picture of the day. So that's what you've got here is today's picture of the day. And this is the chair that George Washington sat in when he presided over the Continental Congress. So very appropriate to our topic today. So this is actually inside Independence Hall in Philadelphia. This is the exact chair that General George Washington sat in as he presided over the Continental Congress. Very cool, huh? Alright, so to get started, first things first, you guys have an assignment due today. So please, everyone, take out your political cartoon and pass it forward. Hope everybody's passing. Come on. So turn in your political cartoons, pass them forward, and the sub can pick those up from you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that assignment. Better than writing, right? A little creativity. Okay, everybody should have that turned in right now. If you didn't get it turned in, please get that up, get that out, get that up to the sub. It needs to be turned in today, all right? Now we're going to get started with the Articles of Confederation. Okay, first I just wanted to show you a couple really cool pictures as related to this. This is actually the journal. This is the secret journal that they recorded everything in during the Continental Congress. And as you guys will recall, the king had sent the declaration to the colonies saying that anyone who was participating in treason, who was plotting against the king, would be punishable by what? Hanging. So the king had said that anybody who could be convicted of treason was punished by hanging. So this is actually the secret journals that they kept the records in for the Continental Congress. And here it is. This is the exact journal. It's in the National Archives in Washington, D.C., and it's on display. And as you'll see here, if you can take a look, like it has each of the colonies listed. So like here's Virginia, here's North Carolina, South Carolina. It had all the names listed for all the delegates. Now next, we're going to take a look at Ben Franklin's sketch of the Articles of Confederation. And actually about a year before Congress actually declared their independence from the crown, Ben Franklin started thinking about what it might look like if they had to start a new government. And so his sketch here is actually what turned in to the Articles of Confederation. And so here's a copy of the Ben Franklin's sketch, his first ideas for the Articles of Confederation. And as you can see, like over here, there's some of his notes, some of the things he'd written, and then here's his notes that he scratched out, different words he decided to use. So pretty cool, huh? Alright, so now get out your notebooks. We are about to take notes. Like I said, this is just like a normal lecture if I were in class today, alright? And so today we're going to talk about what it would look like when they had to come up with this new government. We just declared our independence from the crown, and so now we're our own country, and we're having to set up what we want a government to look like. And of course, we want it to be the right government. We want it to have the right things, because we just declared our independence from a king that we didn't agree with. So now we need to set up, well, if we didn't agree with that, what do we want our government to look like? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I hope everybody has your notebooks out. Get out your pens and paper, and let's get ready to take notes. All right. So, we want a government that has certain things in it. So take a second to see what you might fill in the blanks with here from these words over at the side. We need a government to do certain things for us. Alright, so what'd you guys think? We first need a government that has enough power to do its job. Of course, a government has to have enough power. If it doesn't have power, it can't do anything. But we want to make sure that that government doesn't have too much power. Because that was the problem with the king, right? We thought that he had too much power, too much say over what was going on in the colonies. So it needs to have enough power to do its job, but doesn't give anyone too much power. Alright, we also need to make sure that it considers the needs of all the states. Because right now, each state sort of has its own say, right? And some states are big, some states are small. Some states run their economy based off fishing, some run their economy based off farming. There's lots of needs out there for the different states, so we need to make sure that all the needs of the states are met. Then we also need to make sure that the people have a say, because that's another thing we said about the king, right? The king wasn't listening to what the colonists wanted. And because we know that we're going to set up a democracy, that means that the people have a say in what goes on in government. Remember, we just took our quiz over the types of government. And in a democracy, the people have a say. Through what? Elections. So the people have a say. And last but not least, we want a government that protects individual rights. Because remember, that was another complaint we had against the king, is that he was infringing upon individual liberties. So it needs to protect individual rights. Okay, so one last time, what does the government need to do? It needs to have enough power to do its job, but not too much power. And it needs to consider the needs of all the different states, while still letting the people have a say in government and protecting their individual rights. Alright, hope you all have that down now. So next, in 1777, the Americans wrote their first plan for government, and it was called the Articles of Confederation. And that's the document we're going to be talking about today, the Articles of Confederation. So first things first, what is a confederation? Now, that word probably sounds sort of familiar to you guys, because as we were talking about the different types of government for our last quiz, we talked about the confederal type of government, right? The confederal type of government. So what is a confederation? A confederation is a group of states united together for a purpose. A group of states united together for a purpose. All right, one last time. What is it, guys? Say it along with me. A group of states united together for a purpose. All right. Now, if you'll remember, the confederal form of government, the states gave certain powers to the federal government. So that's exactly what we're talking about here. Each state, under the Articles of Confederation, had its own power. It was in control of what went on in its state. But the states collectively decided to give a federal government certain powers, and that's what we're going to talk about now. So just like we talked about, the confederal sort of government, the states give certain powers to the federal government. Alright, so under the Articles of Confederation, each state was independent and had its own government. That's what I just said. Each state was independent and in charge of what went on inside its boundaries. Each state had its own government. Everybody got that written down? Each state was independent, but had its own government. Alright. Each state would then send representatives to the Congress of the Confederation. Each state would send representatives to the Congress. Congress was the only central form of government under the Articles of Confederation. The only central form of government. There was no president. Now, John Hanson presided over the Congress, but he wasn't actually a president like we think of a president today. So the Congress was the only central government. There was no actual president. And last but not least, in Congress, each state only gets one vote. One. That's it. One vote. So all the representatives, everyone in that state had to agree on how the state was going to cast its vote in Congress. So one last time, each state was what? Independent and had its own government. Then each state would send representatives to the Congress. Now the Congress is the only central government. There is no president. And in Congress, each state only gets one vote. Okay? We all got that? Each state gets how many votes? One vote. Okay. Let's move on. So, there are some really great things about the Articles of Confederation, right? Especially after we just declared our independence from the British Crown. There are some things that we did not want our government to have. So first, states get to keep their power, and that was really important to us. We didn't want some big one central government, one person telling us what we could do. And second of all, they get to keep their independence. So that was really important to the colonists, that states got to keep their power and their independence. All right, what did the states get to keep? Their power and their independence. Okay, now next, there was no government that could tell the states what to do. Again, really important to them. They didn't want somebody to be able to tell them what to do. They thought they should get a say, right? So there's no government telling the states what to do. Now, next, Congress did have the power to create a military and to protect the states. And that was important, right? Because we just were in the middle of fighting the American Revolution. And so we need a military to protect these states. Alright, so states keep their power and independence. There's nobody telling them what to do because the central government can only do what the states say it can do. And Congress has the power to create a military to protect the states. Those are all really important things. Now, the Articles of Confederation had some negative things too. So we're going to talk about those now. First of all, Congress had no way to enforce its laws. No way at all. So that's a problem when Congress can make laws, but it can't enforce them. Next, Congress had no power to collect taxes. And that's a big problem. That's one of the very biggest problems of the Articles of Confederation. So maybe make a little star by that or something in a note. Congress had no power to collect taxes to pay for the military. To pay for anything, really, but especially this military that it's trying to raise. And last but not least, Congress could only change the Articles of Confederation if all the states agreed. Every single state had to agree. So do you think that that would be easy or hard to make changes? Hard. Pretty darn hard. Can you imagine what it was like to try to get every single state to agree on something? Especially when the states had lots of different things that they used for their economy. Some states were big, some states were small, some states liked farming, some states liked fishing. That was really hard. So there's three big problems with the Articles of Confederation. First, Congress has no way to enforce its laws. No way to enforce its laws. Second of all, Congress has no power to collect taxes. And that's important because Congress needs money to do anything. And it can't collect taxes. And last but not least, it was very, very difficult to change. Very difficult. Okay? Alright, so let's review. Under the Articles of Confederation, a president would lead the country. True or false? False. There was no president under the Articles of Confederation. No president at all. Next, the states would be independent under the Articles of Confederation. True. Very true. The states would be independent under the Articles of Confederation. Each state would have its own government and be in control of what went on in its state. Alright, so true or false, were the Articles of Confederation easy to change or hard to change? They were hard, so this statement is false. The Articles of Confederation were very, very hard to change. Every single state had to agree if a change was going to be made. Alright, the more people a state had, the more votes it got in Congress. True or false? False. Each state only had one vote in Congress, so all the representatives from that state had to agree on how they were going to vote. Each state got one vote in Congress. Alright, so did Congress have the power to collect taxes? False. They did not have, well, the answer is true, but Congress did not have the power to collect taxes. They did not have the power to collect taxes, and that's one of the biggest problems under the Articles of Confederation. Congress does not have the power to collect taxes. Alright? Could Congress pass laws and force states to follow them? Could Congress force states to follow the laws? False. No way. Congress did not have any way to force states to follow the laws. So they could pass all the laws they wanted, but they had no way to force states to follow them. Alright, did the Articles of Confederation create the first American government? True. The Articles of Confederation were the first American government. Alright, so there were some good things and some bad things about the Articles of Confederation, but in general, people felt like the government wasn't working. Okay, one of the biggest problems was that Congress was too weak to end conflict between the states. So say New Jersey wanted something and New York wanted something and they couldn't agree. Well, there was no central government to end the conflict. And any law Congress did pass, they didn't have any way to enforce. So that's another big problem. Congress was too weak to end conflicts between states. Okay, everybody got that? Congress was too what? Weak. Congress was too weak to end the conflicts between the states. But there wasn't an easy solution. Lots of people wanted lots of different things. Some people thought we needed a president, some people thought we didn't. Some people thought large states should have more say, some people thought the small states should have more say. Some people wanted help for the fishermen, some people wanted help for the farmers. Some people thought we should have a stronger central government. Some people thought we shouldn't have a central government at all. So there were lots of conflicting views about what to do. So, states had different needs. Some states depended on farming, some states depended on fishing. Okay? States were different sizes. Some states had a lot of people, and some states only had a few. And so obviously there's going to be a debate over how they should be represented, right? And we'll talk more about that later. But that was one of the conflicts going on. And people had different opinions. Some people were not fans of central government. They had a lot of bad memories from the king, and they were weary of what somebody with a lot of power could do, right? But other people thought a central government was necessary because if nobody was in charge, nobody can resolve the conflicts between states and will never get anything done. Alright, so questions again, true or false? Everybody thought the central government should have more power. False. They did not agree on whether the central government should have more or less power. Alright, next. Some people were afraid states might lose their independence. True. People weren't sure what would happen if the central government was given more power. Alright, different states had different needs for governments to meet. True. Remember, some of the states liked farming, some of the states liked fishing, some states were big, some states were small. There were different needs the government needed to meet for them. All the states got along with each other. True or false? False. It would be really hard to make the states all get along, right? Especially when there's nobody to tell them, this is what's going to happen, and here's how we're going to do it. There was no central government that could do that. And even if they tried, they had no way to enforce it. Alright, so the government created by the Articles of Confederation had everything under control among the states. True or false? Did the Articles of Confederation have everything under control? False. Remember, the states were fighting. People weren't sure if they should have a big or small central government. People weren't sure how big states and little states should be represented. There was actually a lot of conflict going on. Alright, so what do you guys think about it? Do you think the Articles of Confederation created a successful government? There were definitely positives and negatives under the Articles of Confederation. We talked about a few of those earlier. But do you think that that was successful? And next, do you think changes were needed to the Articles of Confederation? Do you think we needed a different government instead of the Articles of Confederation? Think about them. Alright, so the sub is now going to pass out your worksheets. These are the Articles of Confederation worksheets. The front page should look like this. So as we're getting those passed out, everybody get settled. We're going to start the worksheets here in just a second. Okay? I'm going to pass these out. Everybody should have one. So this is the front page. You guys are going to turn these in at the end of the hour. So take this seriously. Work on it. Use your notes. The first page in the worksheet looks like this. And we're going to discuss reasons why it was successful and reasons why it wasn't. So we're going to fill in the chart above here. Questions 1 through 3. Why was it successful? Why was it not successful? List 3 reasons why the Articles of Confederation were and were not successful. And then on the back page, there's a space for question 1. Do you think the Articles of Confederation created a successful government? And why or why not? You can use some of these reasons in your justification for why or why not it was successful. Okay? Now, you'll flip to the third page. It says, do you think changes were needed? Why or why not? So again, fill in the blanks, fill in the chart above, 3 reasons why change may have been needed, and 3 reasons why change may not have been needed. Why it worked. And so then again, on the back page, there's a section, question 2, write a paragraph, 3 or 4 sentences. Do you think changes were needed? Why or why not? So here's what it should look like. Here's the back page, and answer these in paragraph form. Each question should have 3 or 4 sentences answering the question. So question 1, you can use those reasons from page 2. Do you think the Articles of Confederation created a successful government? Why or why not? And then question 2, do you think the changes were needed? Why or why not? And again, you can use your little chart from page 3, okay? So, you guys get started on that. Work on that. You have till the end of the hour. These are due at the end of the hour, okay? You will turn in your worksheets at the end of the hour, and then make sure you write this down. Your homework for tonight is to read Chapter 2, Section 4, pages 51 to 55. So before you leave class today, you should have already turned in your political cartoon. Already turned that in. You will be turning in these worksheets that you just got handed out. You'll be turning those in. They are getting collected. Do a good job on them. And then make sure you write down your homework is to read pages 51 to 55. Read pages 51 to 55. Got that? One last time. What pages are we reading tonight? Pages 51 to 55. And tomorrow we're going to lecture over the Constitution. So come back ready to see me, excited to see me, and ready to talk about the Constitution, all right? You guys have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you tomorrow.